talking grips. I got a new catalog I want to show you, and we'll talk about more fitting and golf club stuff next on What's in My Drawers Golf Talk. Welcome back to the Golf Shop. Jim McCleary here, and this is What's in My Drawers Golf Talk. Why What's in My Drawers? Because old club makers, club fitters are tremendous pack rats, and I'm no different. It's about what was in my drawers of the shop, and we've been doing this for quite some time, and it's turned into quite the very nice get together every Monday for about an hour, hour and a half to talk golf club repairs, golf club reviews, golf club fittings, golf club opinions, and some other stuff. I'm sure that we'll find out what that is here in a bit. So, what we like to do is we like to talk about who won what, and we had some first-time winners out there. But for around home here, the British Senior Open, we'll call it that, because I don't know if they call it the Senior Open. Anyway, the British Senior Open. We had a local guy here that qualified, and I mean local guy. He lives about 20 miles to my south, and he's been in the shop a couple times. One heck of a golfer. He truly is. He's one heck of a golfer. And I get a little closer. There we go. And shot an amazing 63 at Firestone. And I thought, well, my hope was that he make the cut. Well, he didn't make the cut. He shot he was plus 11 when it was all said and done. However, he still finished 20 plus ahead of a lot of other folks. Now, I went back and I looked at his scorecard, and if we could have gotten rid of the very first 9, which was probably, we'll relate it to jitters because I believe that might have been his first real competition. And if he could have got past that, he really would have only been about 4 over when it came to the second one. He'd been well inside the cut line. So we'll call it a learning experience. So congratulations to him to even be qualified. It was awesome. So we're in pretty good shape there. Just one. There we go. And okay. And so that was really good. We had a local gal that she ended up she qualified, and she was a younger gal, and she qualified and actually made the cut and finished in like 20th position on the LPGA. So happy for all the Ohioans that at least tried to represent, right? And they did very, 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 very well. All righty. So for me, what I did was I took the putter out to a new course, not a new one, to the JC's in Chillicothe, which is about 10 miles to my north. And I normally drive right by there only because I can get earlier tee times and get going and get done. The pro there, Tom, every once in a while lets me, he gets there early enough and I can get out there and normally take some pictures for him and that kind of stuff, run the drone. And so I get a round of golf. So I went 39-44, and it was obviously a tale of two stories or two sides. And that's number 10. I was just taking that because that was a lot of fun. But and there's 18 from the same spot I was there. This was number 1. You go in between the two bushes and it goes straight out. Probably one of the hardest starting holes you'll ever want to see. And because what it does, it goes out and there's a mound, and then there's another 170 yards to a very, very raised small green. And getting it on there sometimes is not so hard, but keeping it on there is the real trick. So it did okay on that side. And that's a par 3 that I was seeing. Did okay there. And just some more golf course to give you the idea of the scenery. This was going into the back. That was actually, the course here is in great shape. Here in Ohio, you get into the July, August time frame, things start burning up because normally there's very little water and there's all kinds of heat. And we had all kinds of heat last week, but we also got some water. So, bonus for the golf courses, right? And this is what, back to this one. So took the putter, I've been working with the putter. That's the Mez Max. And it has been, and the reason why I took it there was because I was starting to get what I was calling golf course familiarity. And I didn't want to report a whole bunch of false positives in that, I was putting, I went from three putting at least two or three sides around down to not three putting at all. And yeah, and some of it certainly is the putter helping me out. It's finally found something to marry up to my stroke. Now, that being said, I started putting very well. Last week, I went and I had one three putt and a couple of two putts, and I believe I shot like an 81. Obviously, this last week in 83, and I had one or two three putts, or one putt, and I had one three putt, and most of my three putts, or the three putt I had, was another lip out and just totally missed it. Outside of that, of course, I had the scorecard. I was going to give you a feet that I was doing that in. And again, somehow I figured out how to just land on the edge of the green instead of near the pin in order to take advantage of the fact that I can actually putt pretty decent. But Bob, my buddy Bob, he was my buddy on the front. He wasn't my buddy on the back because he's the one that cuts the greens there. And we went out there and played, and I found, as he tells me, the front greens are made differently than the back greens, and the front greens were slower, and the back greens were a little bit speedier. And well, okay, now we understand. So anyway, just to get the idea is that the putter's working. That's really what it was doing. Even on the speedy greens, the putter was working. Very, very happy with it. The driver was working very well all the way up to number 18, which is that guy, over some water, and for some reason I splashed one. Right there, and which I haven't done in years. So that was just a brain fart on my part. So there we go. Alrighty, so there's the golf. The putter's still working. It's working at a different greens complex. Shot an 83. Happy with that since I went 39.44. Not too bad. So in the shop, we're starting off with some grips because that's going to be our topic today. And this one had a little bit of everything in it. It had a Paradigm driver, a couple of Wilson hybrids, some Mizuno irons, and an Odyssey putter. Not bad. That worked out really, really well. Made a putter. Now this one is a BGT shaft that we installed on a Spider. Now, the thing that's important to know here is, number one, we got it all assembled, but it came without a face. And he brought a face with him and wondered if I could put it in there. And I was like, well, yeah, I suppose I could. And it was my first time putting in a face. Now, I tried it. The whole idea here is to marry up the face. Obviously you want it centered, and if you can do it correctly, there's normally some goo that goes around the outside in order to keep it stable. In this case, it was an aftermarket face, I'm going to guess, and it was, when you put it in there, the face was level with the body of the putter. Now, in a lot of cases, what I've seen done is, when they go to install these things, there might be a couple pieces of glue, but there's also this little bitty thin piece of tape that goes back in there, and it's kind of a vibration, a dampener. Now, I'm not going to say it's in everyone because I've never taken a face out, but I have seen some. And so when I put it in there, I couldn't put the tape in there because it would have made the face stick out beyond the body of the putter. So I have a couple of dabs of glue, because when you go to press it in there, it wants to go everywhere. And just these little dabs of glue, it started filling up around the cracks. So I just kind of pushed my finger around it and then wiped off the excess, and voila, we got a putter face. So real happy with the way that it turned out. It looks good, even with the Super Stroke on there, so not too bad. Here's the other half of that set that I was showing you. There's the White Hot. Here's another set. Now this one's going to be part of a, it won't be for the video, so we're going to go right here. If you would, like, subscribe, right? Hit all that stuff across the bottom. That way more of this gets out to the YouTube universe. And there will be a video tomorrow. I took a break again last week. This one, we're going to be talking about wedge grinding on some kids' clubs and why we would do such a thing and what does it mean when we grind. Very, very informative. I think there's a lot more going on in this one, so to keep your attention. Now we go back to this one. If you look, these are Tiger Wood irons. And yes, when I go to put the, and when you guys see it, you'll be the first ones to know about this one. I'm going to say working on Tiger Wood irons, not Tiger Woods irons, Tiger Wood irons. Is it clickbait? It's on the ragged edge, I fully admit. But these were some really cool irons that we got to work on, and they went to, of all places, Go Big Red, Nebraska, which is where I was born. So, yeah, this was a lot of fun. I put LA golf shafts, and there's some trial tribulations in that one, and we got them all said and done. And he also, we built a putter for him as well, and got everything looking pretty good. And I like what it turned out. And what I did was, and if you're listening, I built them up. They're like a 1/16 of an inch longer than you asked for in order to help with swing weight. 1/16 to an 1/8 of an inch, sorry. And with that not being too big a deal, I just let the blade cut thicker in order to get it, because we knew these were going to be light, right? And we only missed it by 1, so I'm pretty happy with that. Here's another set. Now I fit this set, and these are Mizuno Tours, to a guy in his 60s, and he had one heck of a golf swing. And when we had him in this one, he had I actually had to make his golf clubs longer. That rarely doesn't happen. It rarely happens. And he was fine in the middle of this club face. It was something else. He's like, well, I really like blades. And I'm like, well, if you haven't played a lot, you're probably not going to like them for very much. And this is the, I let him try one, but these ended up just absolutely working really, really well. Made him inch longer. And then we ended up putting, because he's a bigger fella, taller wise, put some Jumbo Max on there. The Jumbo Max Ultralight. And what that does, it gave him a little bit more head weight feel because we had a lighter shaft, and just absolutely creaming him. Now, he is a history kind of buff, and he brought me in a Schenectady putter. I should have taken a picture of the thing. And it was mounted on a piece of wood, but a Schenectady putter that was actually used by a golfer in the day. It was absolutely awesome. And I was like trying to figure out how I could, buy it from him, but it didn't sound like he was going to let it go, so I didn't even get there. However, even better than the Schenectady putter were these. Some Wilson Staff Fluid Feels. Never hit. There you go. Look at these bad boys. I'm not sure what T93 means, but these things, I went through 3 or 4 of them that weren't in the bag, and those things had 0 marks on them. Had some Dynamic Gold S400s, and each one of the bands had little serial numbers on them. And he had some spares in the box. You never see that. That was pretty spectacular. And then it was finished off with some truly cowhide grips. Wound them all the way down, put a little tape on the end, and a plastic cover on the top. And like we talked before, normally they were metal, but in this case, this was plastic. Man, they were nice looking. And said he had a couple of sets, but I imagine he played the other ones. So that was very, very cool. And so we got through that, and then we got some more pictures. I guess this is just me. Oh, I'm just copying everything. Never mind. And so that's what we did here. Oh, and we had another set we made. I told you about last week. We fit the gal, the high school girl, and she's like 4 foot nothing, and a stiff breeze would knock her over. And we made them an inch and a half shorter than ladies' clubs. So it kind of gives you an idea of what we were looking at. And so pretty cool. And we finally got the set in. And the thing that made me really, really happy is she came in and I gave her the putter and I said, just set up to putt. And her stance became so natural, so easy to putt. And she dropped putts 1, 2, 3 right in a row. And that was one of her worst arenas. So that just makes my day right there. And then I had her hold a couple of the irons, and without having to choke down 5 inches, she's now standing up to the thing, and now she can actually make some good golf swings. So that's where that's the benefit to doing a successful fitting. It just makes my day. Those kinds of things. I will mention it was a week of young golfers announcing they were getting married, and the guys were like, "Oh, I better do this now." And I said, "Yes, because this could be the very last time that you have to don't ask for permission." And so the cool part about it was half these kids that were getting married, Mrs. McGough and I have been married probably 15 years longer than they've been alive. So yeah, so that was a lot of fun. It's just one of those. I'm having a coming of my old age moment. All right, last but not least is somewhere along the lines, and I think I know who this is, Charlie, but we received these in the mail, and I think this is just as cool as all get out. Hopefully you can see that. It says, there we go. Oh, I thought I had it. It says McGolf, 7-time top 100 golf fitter. There we go. Look at that. And I got them on a set of Callaway Super Softs. So no, it didn't say who sent them, but I got a sneaking suspicion who sent them, Charlie. And whoever did, thank you so very much. Okay, we're moving on, man. I'm eating up some time. Just here today, we got this. Now, it's a Washawn book. The new Washawn book is out. Uh, I don't talk about Washawn very often. Mr. Washawn, Tom would get mad at me if I called him Mr. Washawn because he and I have had several discussions. But the new book came out, and I always like going through these to see what he's done differently. And before we move on to that, I want to give you guys, if you ever want to read a good story, here's Captain Clubmaker. That's his story of how he came up through the ranks to where he's at now. And then if you're interested in how golf clubs work, he's got 3. This is a new search for the perfect golf club, the right sticks, and search for the perfect driver. So this is the one, the new search. I'd read that. Any of you guys are budding club makers or just like reading, that would be fine. If you're starting a business or you're getting into a hobby and you're wanting to understand it, Common Sense Club Fitting. All right, Common Sense Club Fitting. Those are all good books. Now, I will say, I don't necessarily agree with all Mr. Washawn's ideals and what he does, but I will say I do agree with a lot of them. Okay. Like most of us, if you're doing it the way, and you want to make it your own, you'll pick and choose what makes sense to you and how you want to come about doing it. And that's what I've done. And we've talked about it. And it's just one of those, well, I like it, but I'm not going to do it, and he's real big with MOI. I'm not. Outside of that, a lot of what he does is pretty impressive. Okay. These are being sold out of Diamond Golf out of the UK. I just wanted to bring attention to some of the new stuff. The 719 driver, well, everything looks like it's gotten a facelift, and I'm not going to go through this whole thing, but it looks like it got through everything's gotten a facelift. There's the 719, 519. I got this in the shop. It's a nice little drive. And the 919, that has been a stable, a freaking performer. All right. And these things are bendable. And that thing was, when that thing first came out, it was beating OEM clubs up like nobody's business. And now it's got a facelift on the sole. In fact, I still got some of the old style ones over there just for the sake of having it. Now they still have he has a new hybrid, a new fairway. And the other one I wanted to bring to your attention, which got my attention, were two other ones. Were these irons. There's a 585 PC forged irons. Now, in a lot of cases, these guys don't invest a lot into left-handed, so I can't tell you too much about it, and this will be the same case. But if you look here, there's two sets of irons. It's made to be a combo set, right? Or it can be one or the other. But it goes 4 through the pitch and the gap in right hand only. So, tough crap for me. And then there's a 309 high CG wedge, and that comes in a left and a right, and which is one of these guys right here. I like the shape. I don't know what that's going to do for playability. And now he's got a 310 wedge that I did. Oh, that's a new one too. A 310, and it's only in right-handed. So all the cool stuff I'm not going to be able to do. So there you go. Unfortunately, that's always been the way it has been, because it costs a lot to make left-handed stuff. But there you go. So there's that one. Okay, topic, grips. I was going to tell you about grips, and that's going to be in the second video I'm going to release. And just to go over really quick, and the reason why I'm kind of keen on this right now is because I switched over to Jumbo Max, right? I switched over to these guys after doing the testing myself. I put them on there, and I gave them about 5 or 6 rounds. And I said after the 5th or 6th rounds, if it's not comfy, they're coming off. And I will say this, from a guy that played, I played the MCCs, but I played Golf Prides, right? And I played the low taper style grips, which these big ones, that's what they are. And I didn't have any problems with them. I liked them just fine. In fact, they have these Z grips without cords started becoming some of my favorite ones. And I was just pulling the ball so bad, and it was all about face angle. As I was on my machine, and I had a path that was fairly straightforward, but my face angle was just so closed. And, in the idea of larger grips, it's to prevent or be a catalyst of not closing the club. And sure enough, that's what I've been doing here as of late, is hitting them much, much straighter. And that was one of the pros to these bigger grips when I did the testing, was if you didn't hit it further, you certainly hit it more, your dispersion was straighter or tighter. Now, in this last round with playing with Bob, I actually figured out how to pull a couple, and it was my right hand just getting all kinds of crazy. And the minute I realized what I was doing, it straightened right back out. Hit some pretty decent shots. So there is something to it, but I won't say it's an immediate comfort factor unless you were just totally uncomfortable with something like this. So it does exist. Now, does that mean everybody's got to do it? Not even close. Could I go back to it? Yeah, but now I would have a getting used to it period for one of the smaller ones now. So it's it's all what you get used to. But right now, and the reason I left some I left my wedges in the regular. I left 2 of my hybrids in the regular grip, and I just reshafted my 3 hybrid and put that bigger grip on it, and instantly I'm hitting it better. Now, that could be a combination of both the shaft and the grip, but I wasn't pulling anything. And that's exactly what I'm trying to fight, is don't pull it. So for me, it's helping quite a bit. All right, last bit before we get started on all the question and answers is putter grips. Super Stroke came out with a new one. This one is a Flatzo, but the pattern on it is called Zen. I guess Zen Light. This does feel lighter. So if you're looking for a lighter grip, these guys have one. I do like the white and the red. It's pretty cool. If you're looking for something new and try something new, the Garson grip. All right. Let's see if this works out better like this one. The Garson grip. And this is the Max, where it's got the ovally shape here, but the flat, or there's a pinnacle here, or the top of it so that you put your thumbs on both sides of it. Kind of locks you in. That's not a bad little set. Now they have an ultimate, I think would be probably more well-rounded for a lot of different people. And then just something that's in between, you know, the wind grips there, everybody's got one. And to be the unsung one, Jumbo Max has got one as well. This is not a bad grip. This is a little firmer. So for those guys that didn't like that squishy feel, right there. All right. So again, like and subscribe. We got the video coming out on wedge grinding, and then we're going to do the boxes to build number 10, which will be Golf Clubs Explained, the grip. So there we go. All right. So let's get started. All the way to the top we go. And here we go. Manual. How are you? Hello, Jim and Robin. And the rest of the McGolf geeks. Shot a 77. Well done, sir. And a 79 at Bull Rock. We're just wanting to say, how was that? How did you enjoy your 70th birthday? Happy birthday, sir. All righty. Number 2, can you measure a putter for length using a 48-inch ruler, or do you need a putter measuring ruler? No. The putter measuring ruler manual just makes it easier because it's very convenient. What Emmanuel is asking about is there's a stick or a putter ruler, and it's literally a ruler, but it only goes to, I think it's 42 inches, and at the bottom it forks out. It has the ruler, and then there's another piece of metal that comes out and comes down, so it can either straddle the putter or go in between it, much like that TaylorMade that I was showing you, that the fork of this thing can go inside one of the holes, and you can still measure up the backside of the putter. So if you can get the 48-inch ruler going the length of the shaft down to the ground right behind it, then yeah, you can use a 48-inch ruler. That's not a problem. It's just easier with the putter ruler. I bought that thing day 2 just because it was just too easy. But can you use the other one? Yeah, sure. As long as you get right behind it. All righty. Matt's back in action. 76, 75 yesterday. I got to get into that mode. I know I can get in the 70s. Now it's just a matter of having that mindset of, okay, I'm going to go parse them. I'm parring all my holes or birdieing all my holes or something. All right, what process goes into make a change of club in your bags? 3 wood for a 3 hybrid, or 7 wood for a 3 hybrid. Well, number 1 for me, that's not happening because I'm not a fairway wood guy. Although 7 woods are very much upright, maybe even more so than a 3 hybrid. That could be but the 7 wood in loft is actually closer to a 4 wood. Because the 7 wood runs around 20, 21, which is around a 4, where the hybrids are 18, 17, 18, 19. But anyway, for me to make a change in my bag, it comes out to testing, right? Number 1, like any other golfer, you look down on it. Am I comfortable enough to swing it? Does it look like something I can bring around? Because you literally have to convince yourself that you're going to be able to hit it well. If you don't know, which is probably the best way to approach it, is just go out there and then get on a monitor and see what kind of numbers you're generating. And then if you're generating some really good numbers, then go outside and take it around on the course, assuming you have that capability. But that's how I would do it. And that's where we were doing it with the, for me, not necessarily a full sail change, but a shaft change in my hybrids with that grip. I was like, man, I was looking at the numbers, the way that the hybrid was performing, and it was very flimsy. And I was like, oh, I can't have that because it was closing the face down, and I was doing this and this. And I was hitting these low stingers, and I was pulling them to the inside. And so as soon as I got this thing out there, off it goes. So that's the reason why. All righty. What do you say, buddy? Just saw you not too long ago, huh? GP Tour Velvet 58 logo down for me. There you go. Nice and simple. Yep. All right. Question about driver loft. We are going to get here in a minute. Common Man. Hello there, sir. Hope things are going well. They very much are. Mr. Anderson, thank you for staying up so late. Another week of rather mixed weather in the Fife of Scotland. Boy, oh boy, you guys really, well, unnecessarily, well, yeah. You guys, the seniors, man, that the weather really pummeled them, particularly in the last round. Alex Jaka pretty much survived it all, but good for him. All right. Great show last week about the difference in all type of shaft manufacturers. Excellent show. Well, thank you, sir, very much. I appreciate it. All righty. Duque, for a senior with a swing speed of 80 to 90, what flex shaft is best for them? Well, Duke, if we're talking about a driver, 80 to 90 normally resides in what I would call the A flex. Okay. Not necessarily senior, but A. Hold on. Pardon me. And it would be an A flex. Now it's just below the regular. So you could get a soft regular and be right there. 80 to 90 is a pretty wide width. Okay. Meaning that most people don't change 10 mile an hour, maybe 4 to 5. However, the second part you need to know about this is whether they're an aggressive swinger or if they are a smoother swinger. If they're an aggressive swinger, you can get closer to the R flex and be very successful. If they're very smooth, you probably want to go down into that A flex range and then go there. And the easiest way to do that is maybe a lighter shaft in the R flex and it'll play a little bit less stiff, so to speak, or find the right profile. There you go. Charlie's talking. There's our man from California. Hello there. Rounds of 82 and 83. I'm with you, brother. Uh-oh, damn bingo already. Thank you, sir, for the money ahead. Okay, if we cut down a shaft minus 1 inch, added the weight to the back of the head, love it. But for the random low spin hook, would more loft work better or with a shorter shaft? Okay, for a random low spin hook, would more loft work better with a shorter shaft? Well, added weight to the back of the head. Okay. What you might do is, if you like it all that well, every once in a while, what you might take the weight. I don't have a head with me. And if this was a head, now let's do it like this way. If this was the head and this was where the shaft went into, so it's looking, well, let's do it righty. This is the shaft and the face is right here, and you've got the weight sitting in the back of the head back here. I would tend to move it like in this neck of the woods up towards the toe if you've weighted it with like tape and weighted up in that neck of the woods. It'll feel just a skosh heavier, but it'll also slow down that rate closure, and you get the best of both worlds. Now, if it's a weight that you removed and you replaced, and you did that, that could be problematic. But it should hold you open just a little bit, you would think. You might try and go up a degree, but keep in mind, depending on the type of shaft that you have, if you go to open it up, if you go to add loft, it's going to close face on you. So that's going to be a bit of a problem as well. You might open it up on purpose and then see what happens. Hello, Mr. Moody. How are you? Krister from Sweden. How are you? I saw you practicing again on that Instagram. Travis K from New Jersey. What do you say? What are your thoughts on ball fitting? Does it make a difference, and how do you do it? Well, I believe that it does make a difference, and how you do it is, yeah, that's actually a good question. So, as not to get too specific, Bridgestone used to have, all they were doing was they had their launch monitor, and all they wanted to do was see ball dynamics, and which was spin, speed, curvature, that kind of stuff. And you would take yours, you'd hit 3 or 4 or 5 shots, and then they would see how that ball was playing, and they might have had a database, and then they would have said, okay, try this instead to see whether or not they could make an improvement. And a lot of cases they did, right? They did because they knew their product a lot better than most golf manufacturers. Now, let's say you're going into a regular fitting and you wanted to say, well, which ball works for me? Okay. Number one is I break down balls into certain categories, and this is how we get it started. Here's the story. Golf balls come in 3 categories. The first one is the tour level category. Everybody knows what this one is. They got Pro Vs, Chrome Softs, TP5s, B Tours, staff models, you name it. Everybody's got one, right? Because that's where you get your TV time, hopefully free advertising, that kind of stuff. Now, the second category is what I call the performance line, or the performance category. And in that, there are 2 tiers. And one of them is the super soft golf ball. And the super soft golf ball is just exactly what it sounds like. It is the Callaway Super Soft, the the Wilson Duo Plus, the Soft Feel, right? Everybody, again, almost everybody's got one of those. Not everybody, but some. Uh, and then the other category is I'm the golf ball that wants to be like the tour ball, but just isn't. And those are like the E12 from Bridgestone, Q Stars, AVXs, ERCs, Wilson Triads. Everybody has one of those. Okay. And then the third category is how much can you jam in an onion sack? And we don't use that one because literally can hurt golf clubs. So, so now we know where we're at. How do we determine that? Well, number one, always swing speed is always one of those, and this is bang for buck. This isn't right now, is not yours. Bang for buck, swing speed and quality of hit. All right, you can have a super high swing speed and a really poor quality of hit, and those tour balls won't do you a thing. All right, and the reverse can be true as well. You can have a slower swing speed, but a truly high quality of hit, i.e., let's say somebody that was a single digit player in their youth and now they're just older and they still find the middle of the club face so they can still work the ball. They know what's going to happen, that kind of stuff would do very, very well with a tour level ball. Now, the second tier is, I want to be like the tour ball, is for those folks that fall outside of that. They can be low swing speed, low quality of hit, or low quality hit, high swing speed, that kind of stuff. Or if you have a budget, and you just want to, uh, and you just don't want to spend that kind of money because those tour balls can get pretty pricey, and you want something that's close because most of these second tier balls may only be 3 yards shorter. Right now, if distance is important, well, okay, then you're not going to like that. But if just getting the ball out there and play, then it's not a problem. Now, in the softball, typically that goes with the slower swing speeds, the guys that really don't spin it a lot, right? Because when these softballs get out there, they want to launch off the face and they create a lot of spin. So if you can hit a low spin shot and you like this softer ball, you probably hit them just as good as anything else. Okay. Now, again, how do I do it? Well, I got a launch monitor, and the launch monitor tells me when I have boxes. In fact, they're sitting right here. I got a set of Triads. I got a set of Super Softs. I got a set of Chrome Soft X's, XLS's, the balls that I can normally have really quick access to. I put the little dots on them so that the machine becomes extraordinarily sensitive to these golf balls. and we look and we'll hit 4, 5, 6 shots to see how these golf balls are reacting. Irons, woods, that kind of thing. And then we'll say, okay, you're spinning this one a little too much. Let's see what this one does. And, I've had guys that were slower. I had one guy here with 125 mile an hour driver speed. It was crazy. And I gave him an X ball, and he spun that son of a gun like to 4,000 RPM. I'm like, there's no way this guy should be doing that. But he was. So I gave him the XLS, which is low spin, and he dropped 2,000 RPM just by the switch of a golf ball. And that actually translated into about a 15-yard gain. So, yeah, it does make a difference. And that's how I do it. All right. Charlie, how are you, sir? Placed 407 wood. Yep, that's got to be easier to hit for sure. I'm in with that. Krister got a new putter, a Cleveland Frontline Elite single bend shaft. Also tested new shafts for my irons. Came up with the Apollo Phantom. Sure, not afraid. I know Apollo. I've just never heard of the Phantom. Okay, very cool. Common Man, what is a good affordable senior shaft to replace a tour edge into a tour edge exotic driver? The stiff Project X Hazardous Smoke Blue RDX doesn't work for me. Well, the stiff Project X Smoke Blue RDX 60 is not a senior shaft. That is a very stiff shaft, so that's probably why it's not working. But a good one. I mean, if you like the Project X, they make a regular Project X in the hazardous, which would be way less than the RDX number, and get you one that starts with a 5.0, 4.5, that kind of thing. Probably like it a lot better. That would be one. Let's see. The Acras, they're right behind me. Those are quite affordable. And the VRTXs, although they're clubmaker shafts only, they're actually quite affordable for what you want them to do. Basically, the red ones up here are hit the ball higher. The blue ones are hit the ball lower, and they're very similar between regulars and 40s and 50s and 60 grams. So you try something like that. Krister, will rebuild my single length irons to 37, 36 and a half with Apollo Platinum shafts. Very good. That way you can stand a little taller and maybe not have that come around. That'd be all right. That's going to look good. So the Apollo shafts, Apollo's been a shaft maker for quite some time. And they were real big with kind of the Uniflex. They weren't the incorporated, but they were actually in the day. Apollo was a very, very nice shaft, and they just seemed to go by the wayside. A lot of people have passed them up. In fact, I thought they were done, but apparently they're pretty big in the across the other side of the pond. Okay. Cut my Tri-Tour 7-iron down to 35 from 36. Works great. All right. So what PDI do you fit that can extra weight? So what PDI? Oh, iron, I'm going to say. To add the extra weight to my 7 Tri-Tour, up to 27 grams. And the Wind Dry Tech helps with the swing weight also. Okay. Let me read this again. So what PDI do you fit that can add extra weight to my Tri-Tour, can add up to 27 grams, and the Dry Tech? Well, number one, don't add 27 grams. Okay. So this is where it starts getting kind of nerdy about golf clubs. When you start getting above 10 grams, you start messing around with the center of gravity. And if you're going to, depending on, I'm not real familiar with the Tri-Tour. I'm really familiar with KZG. I didn't know they had a Tri-Tour. Anyway, if they've got some weights that you can add, I would add another 10 grams. And that'd be close enough. It's not going to be as heavy as it once was, but it's going to be better. 27 grams, too much. You start messing with the way the club with the way that the club works, and you don't want to do that. 10 to 12. I would add that. Now, is there anything that I have that can do that? No. I got tip weights that I can add up to 10 grams in. That's the maximum for me. Now they say, oh, pour lead down the shaft. No, not doing it because it's just too much weight. You'll pull the center of gravity into the heel. Now you hit hosel rockets and close down the club and the whole 9 yards. It's just not worth that. So you'd be better off. And again, swing weight, right? Don't get so hung up on that. You just made it super duper light, right? If you cut it down and you hit it good and you like it, then why do you need to add, right? But if you want to add it just to gain a little more feel back, then add 10 because that will be a significant add. 5 swing weight points. You'll feel the difference and then see what happens from there. Brendan Scott, good. How you been, buddy? Except for the website. All righty. Jack, how are you from Lombard? Good to see you in here. The Phantoms are 105. All right. With them being Phantoms, I'm surprised they're not black shafted or they don't have an offering of that. That would be kind of cool. Did they tell you the way to shaft? Well, hopefully. So that leads me into when I was telling you about that LA golf shaft I was doing earlier. It's an A shaft and it says 105, and one would think that it would be close to 105. And indeed, once we got it, it was 100 plus or minus 3. So it was 103 to 97. Well, mine weighed 95 and some change. So it's a gram and a half. I know I'm splitting hairs, but it's on the lower end. Yeah. Now, the only reason why I used them was because they were all within less than 1 gram. So the quality or the precision was really good, but the quality of the being in the weight was poor. But they all end up working very, very well. I got it into the middle of the stiff range, so it was exactly where we needed to be. So all in all, it worked out really well. So single length could help you with that because all the clubs will be heavier, but that doesn't mean adding a whole bunch of weight to your current set because they're not made for single length applications. But you could do that, but a 35-inch club is still going to be light. Okay. A 7 iron is supposed to be somewhere around 37 inches. So you're still going to be 2 inches shorter no matter what, and that's still going to be lighter. So you're still in that same predicament. Although, what you could probably do based on what you're going is go with a heavy shaft to help balance out that load, like a 120 or something along that lines instead of something lighter. X-Flex, no doubt. Stepless shaft, okay. Only R&S, but they're parallel shafts, so we'll get them tipped. That's a good idea. All right. My club maker will rebuild the 7 iron next week for an MOI fitting. I already have tested the 37-inch standard tipping. They work really well. All right. Look at you go. John Cherry. Does he have to be concerned about weight of the putter itself? No. No, he doesn't, John. Well, thanks for joining too, by the way. The weight of the putter actually came out heavier. When I took one out, the putter shaft that we put in was not extraordinarily heavy, but it was heavy. And so if it feels lighter, chances are it's because the total weight is being felt in the weight of the shaft, not necessarily the weight of the head. But total weight, the thing's heavier. And I do like how they turned out. I tried shining up, taking out some of those striations in the chrome, but chrome can be very, very daunting. It's very hard. but we did clean them up. They were in really good shape. I just had to clean out the hosels and bore them out to accept the shafts. After that, it was all good. Jim Reynolds shot an 86 at Stableford Tourney in Maple Hill this weekend. Very good for you, sir. 86 is a very respectable number. Well, we like to hear that. Thank you very much. I play my driver at 43. 10F Locks works for me. Added lead tape to D3 swing weight. Ooh wee. That's a lot of freaking lead tape there, man. Sonny V, how's Canada doing for you? Still smoky? We haven't seen anything down here. Mr. Moody, Jim, I've been playing golf as a lefty for about 46 years. Well, that's good. I just found out that I should play right hand. Why is that? I won't change, but I started putting right hand and it works. Find out this at age 60. Well, sometimes putting going that way is not so bad. You can have a dominant eye going the other way. You can have muscle coordination things. I mean, I get out here and Mr. McGolf will say I swing as good right hand as left, and that's an unadulterated fib. Can I hit right-handed? Yeah, but I have to use Lady Flex shafts because I am nowhere near coordinated enough yet. Now, putting wise, I could grab a right-handed putter and get after it too, but that's putting. There you go. He went from a 9 to 10.5, gained 15 yards. Good for you. So, Matt's going to be here next week. And when he means next week, he means Monday of next week. So, we are going to have a guest on. Matt's coming back. And we'll be able to, so get your golf questions ready. Matt and I are going to be talking right here just like we were before. It ought to be a lot of fun. There we go. Damn bunga. Perfect. Sonny V got oversized for my sausage fingers. Lampkin just sent me some new sonars to test, and I am not going to put them on my clubs just yet, but they're blue with some white lettering and a red cap. They're very tacky. They're very tacky, and they are pretty cool. I will say that. I should have brought them over here to show you guys. All right. Happy to hear about fitting the smaller girl golfer. I'm sure she has a smile on her face now. I hope so. When she first came in, it was kind of this disconcerting, like, oh my God, who is this guy? It was all said and done, we were having a lot of fun and smiling through it. Put that ball on a mantle, Jim. But you didn't send them, huh? Well, what I was planning on doing is taking these on a couple of them and putting in a couple of those and see how that one worked out. But all right. Well, I was giving you credit, man. So very cool. Duque, he did. He sent it. He sold his company to these guys, Diamond Golf. Now, Diamond Golf, for lack of a better term, is the Golf Works of the UK. These guys have a lot of golf mechanic stuff. Although this G Paint thing here really intrigues me, but I think they specialize more in the. They don't make their own stuff like Golf Works does, and they have. It looks like they got Bramptons and some of the oil solvent, base solvent for grips. Some of their own house model grips, and then the Winds right there, Lampkins. Ooh, neat putter grip, I will say that. Golf Pride, KBS shafts, Project X, True Tempers, Nippon, which I like Nippon a lot. What's this one? Oh, the Zelos ones, yep. Oh, they got UST Mameas in here, an all-in shaft. I'd like to see that one. Graphite design, and some Aldala. So yeah, I mean, and they're very nice folks. We've talked with them directly. If you're over in the UK, I would say if you have a chance to deal with Diamond Golf, those are the guys, unless there's another group I'm not aware of. But As far as I know, they would be the ones I'd be going to. There's Scott. How you say, buddy? He's a good man to begin with. I like the old style of 19 with a classic. I like the classic face look. You know what? I've got one in silver and I got one in black. And I think I like the black one just because of the exact same thing with a different coloring. I like the black face. Mostly what this is Soul graphics, really, Krister. And but I haven't seen the new face might look a little different. Dimpled Sphere found a TaylorMade burner forged irons from 2009. I can't find any specs or loft. Any suggestions? TaylorMade forged irons. Really? Well, let's do a real. I don't doubt you for a moment, but let's see. TaylorMade burner forged iron specs. Let's see what we get. I get 2.0. We know that's not right. And what do we got here? Yeah. Oh, this looks weird. Here we go. Legendary field burner distance plus more feel. Club specs by year. Let's see what that says. Find irons. Let's go back. 2010, 2009. They got R9 TP irons and burner irons, man. And then they got a burner. Let's see what this burner iron looks like. That's the one with a truckload of offset on it. Let's see what the other one looks like. Oh, that's a golf ball. I don't know, man. You're right. They got TP irons from R9s. That looks more like it. So back in the day, if it was a forged iron, chances are that it wasn't going to be, and although burner, it's probably a stronger version than the TP and something like that. But if TaylorMade doesn't have it, then one of two things. Either one, it doesn't exist and you got a fake, which I doubt that, or it was a Japanese club and you might have to go to the Japanese area and get something from them. Because typically when you find stuff like this, it normally means it's come from overseas. All right. Are they tools for club fitting? And it depends on what you're asking me, TJ. If we're talking about golf mechanics, or golf mechanic, some are not. Some are for club building, and then he has some club fitting tools. The books there, if we're talking about with Sean, there is one that's Common Sense Club Fitter. That one is for club fitting. All righty. Diamond Golf. Club fitting tools in the Diamond Golf with Sean. Oh, well, there are some, but they're not all. Some. I mean, this is more club building stuff in this particular one. I'd have to go through it and look a little bit more. But if they're contracted with Golf Mechanics, then yes. Oh, and I also saw an All Fit in there too, so you can get All Fit stuff from them direct, which would be kind of neat. But that's where that one's at. So that's where that's at. All right, Cam, what do you say, man? Ball Beaters got my first albatross today, 569 par 5. All right. Nicely done, sir. Awesome. Favorite grips are, and a Star Pure went under last week. I saw that they're closing the doors. So any of you guys that like Pure grips, they've just announced I saw on Facebook that they're closing their doors. And they're having a sale and they're selling off everything that they own, and they're at 50% off. So if you want to get a stock, now's the time to do it. Yep, you were correct, sir. That's what I was thinking, bud. Well done. Yep, wasn't him. Ha! It's better to be lucky than good sometimes, Cam. I really had bad hand pain before switching to bigger grips. Big improvement. Certainly, right? That's one of the things. Uh, even like hand pain or even arthritis or something like that always can do with that. But even if you don't, what we were finding is even people that didn't have monster big hands, that they would do fine. Uh-oh. Krister yesterday played his first competition in 4 weeks. Started good with 5 pars and then 3 putted for a double bogey on 6, followed up by 2 bogeys and finished front 9 with a birdie. Well, good for you. Got to get it's there's nothing, what do they say, there's no replacement for experience, and getting out there and experience some of that. Glad to hear it. Back 9, rain and thunder destroyed my round. Ah, we hate it. Shot an 80, winner at 66. Wow. That's somebody playing right there. John Lamb. Hope you guys are well. Had a fantastic weekend. Lots of good food, laughter, and a few libations. Yep. I think we did the same thing. I made a prime rib on the Rectech. Man, oh man, did that turn out good. Agreed, maybe more than a hole in one, but that's a good question. What do you guys think? So what's better, an albatross or a hole in one? I'm going with the albatross is impressive, Cam, but a hole in one would be where I'd want to go. Because I believe they're just as equally as rare. Look at that. Congrats on that one from Dambunga. And his grips got slippery. Well, that happens in a downpour, man. LL DeVos, what do you say? Got my irons today. Wow, amazing. P70 ton. With LA shafts, I'll be coming back in the future. Thank you so much. Luke in Omaha. There's my Go Big Red. Hoorah. And that was I thought I was talking with John, but the putter shaft should be you ought to like that as well. So good for you. Thank you much. They were very cool. I did do a video. It'll be coming out shortly. GP CP2s for me. There you go. That is a very, very popular grip here at McGolf. All right. Wondering how much weight can be added to a club head before it starts to affect the flex and balance point of the shaft. Lighter grips help a tad. So, how much weight? Well, if we wanted to get technical, so we'll use a driver as the case. So if you added 2 grams, that would be 1 swing weight point. And there was a correlation between CPMs and swing weight. And as you add more to it, the swing weight goes down, and it's almost measurable right away. Now, 2 swing weight points for 1 or 2 CPMs is not going to be a big deal because that's like a quarter of a flex, and nobody would see that except for the most sensitive. So you could probably get away with, before it becomes a noticeable impact, I would say somewhere in the vicinity of, and this is in the driver, right around 8 grams. Charlie said, oh, Charlie, yep, he probably very rarely plays in the rain. Hey, Darla must be on. Darla was my very first car wreck I ever had. McGolf, best putter grip for a lefty who does a forward press and a claw grip. Well, what you're looking for is something with a very flat top, something like maybe like the Flatso. So if you're grabbing it and this is how you want to hold on to it so you have more surface area to claw with, something like that. They also make a grip specifically for a claw grip, of which you could do something like that as well. They were very nice. They came together very well. I will say that the head weights were right on target. They were just a hair heavy, which is exactly what we needed, and they were all in very, very good shape. The club champion 1 month away, 54 holes, 36 days, 1 and 8. Oh my goodness gracious. Okay. Yeah, you better get ready, man. With all that stuff that you had there going on, that could be tough. We got some folks looking at us from Facebook. Look at that. Talking to Rick Underwood, Jeffrey Jones. Thank you for watching. Time to get in shape for it. No kidding, right? That's what we're going to do because, this is coming up on the 40th for Mrs. McGolf and I. And the idea is that we're going to go to Scotland, Ireland again. For how long is still debatable, but they walk everywhere on the golf course. So it's onto the treadmill and walking several miles a day for me. Dennis Hood, there you go. Have you or anybody's tried the AutoFlex or the FreeFlex driver shafts? Well, I can say I did try the AutoFlex. A customer had a spare and actually let me have it. And it was a 5S, I believe it was. And I could not keep the thing in play. Now, I do understand that this is a shaft that you really need to be fit to, because if you picked your normal shaft flexes and weights, that you run a very, very high risk of it failing, right? You need to have somebody who knows how these things react in order to get the right one. Chances are they may have put me into a 70-gram R-Flex, who knows, in order for it to work for me. But for what my little experiment was, it was not a success. Okay. There's Darla, Noblesville, Indiana. Thank you so very much, kiddo. I appreciate that. Say hi to Bill. Jeff Mayer, good afternoon. I noticed the other day that the ferrule on my Odyssey RX-7 broke. RX-7 broke. Are putter ferrules a really big deal? Thanks. Actually, no, Jeff, they're not. What that is I call that, is particularly on the Odyssey, it's a transition piece. And what it is because the way that the most Odysseys are done, it's a peg. So you got the head and the peg sits over, and the shaft is an over the shaft model. And what that ferrule is doing is creating a transition, a smooth transition, a neat transition between the shaft and the head. Uh, in this particular instance, the ferrule is very decorative. Now, to take it off and put another one back on is very, very simple. You just have to be able to have it aligned properly. All right. Rodney Peltier, testing. You're welcome. Test sat. John Lamb, Senior Open. Wow, I've played in tourneys with weather like that. All I could do was sit on the couch and chuckle a bit while enjoying my Balvenie. Now there we go, brother. This was a little bit of. I went back to Glenfiddich for a bit, so we're going back into that one. Man, I see those pictures. I follow Patrick Harrington, and it shows him crouched in behind that big ginormous umbrella. And you watch, and there's hats flying and all kinds of stuff happening. It was tough. All righty. 44-inch shaft, 118. Yahoo! I don't know. If you sacrifice 10 or 15 yards, something's out of whack, brother, because at 118, but if you're finding the fairway, I guess it's all good. All righty. Oh, yes. Had an appointment with a chiropractor last week. He said that had zero hip mobility. Ah, he also said that if you lose mobility, you can get it back with some work. Oh yeah, good for you. Yeah, have him snap some of that stuff loose. Now I think more about Krister. I do my there you go. You got some time before the tournament. Give it a go. Be surprised at how well you do. That's what we're all rooting for you, Krister. We'll see about the club championship. We'll see that if they even hoist a trophy, but we're waiting on you. I picked up a couple of Ventus Red that is made for TE. They're working fine for me. Good launch. Not much curve. Speed's 105. Just hit 72 turns around the sun. You go, man. 72 and swinging 105. That's pretty good. All righty. There you go. Stretches, I hope. Herman, Jim personally used a super soft best ball for me. There you go. All right. Everybody likes it. I think they feel great. But I'm a spinner of the golf ball. So what it does eventually, what it'll do is and it balloons and it drops out of the air. If I can find that feel and get out of there, that's the reason why I hit the XLS. It's because it lowers my spin and I get going. It is certainly not the most favorable feeling ball there, but the performance is. I tried them against the Chrome Softs just to show you, and it's literally 3/4 of a club difference. All righty. Darren Martell is on with us. Thank you so much. I put a Jumbo Max grip on my swing weight jumped to D6 on many of my irons. What's your take on this? Too heavy? Does it affect my shaft flex or should I go back? Okay, Darren. So number one, the reason why it jumped probably is because you're using an ultralight, right? Which is one of these guys right here, right? And these things are lighter by design, all right? And so that you have more head feel. Now, they have the tours, which are heavier, which would make it lighter. And just because your swing weight got heavier does not mean that your flex changed. All it means is that you put on a lighter grip. So don't sweat the flex because it didn't change. All right, it just means that you put this on here and it gave you more head feel. Now, some people don't like that. Some people love that. So if your ball striking got better almost overnight from hitting that, then don't sweat it and have fun with it. If you're hitting a little bit sporadically, so to speak, give it I'd say give it 2 or 3 rounds. If you're still hitting sporadically but you like the feel of it, go to the tour model. Danny Johnson, how are you, sir? Darren Martell, hope your summer is going well. Very much it is, and thank you for asking. Players distance irons, yep. Man, Lorinda's in watching today too. We got them all. All right. Chat fact of the day. Punctuation is paramount when asking the question. Yes, it is. Sonic Sega. Have you tried the zero friction gloves? No, I have not. I've got the zero friction tees. I really like those. The 3-pronger ones. I like those a lot. And I broke my last one here about 2 weeks ago. So I've been using the another kind of a zero friction. It's more of a mushroomy kind of look, and they both work very, very well. But no, I haven't done that. I still have a handful of the Callaway gloves, so I haven't had a chance to go look anywhere else. Are they nice? John N. I know that John N. CW grad. Why did many graphite iron shafts have 370 when most many irons have a 355 hosel? That is one heck of a good question. Because if you're in, the reason being is when you're talking about graphite shafts, and let's just say we're stereotyping, okay? When you get into the stereotyping and using graphite shafts, you have left what would be considered the player's irons, of which would normally have the 355s in them. in the design and you go into, we'll say, an average golf club design, and of those, they are typically 370s, and that's why. That's why you're seeing a lot of that, and you very rarely even see you from a graphite perspective. You very rarely see a 355 shaft to begin with. There's very few manufacturers that are doing that. Now, saying that, there are some with the designs that have what I would say have a lot of meat on the end, meaning that that hole is very small on the bottom end of it. Pardon me. Anyway, uh, and when you get those that have a lot of meat on the end, you can actually form them. So in reality, that's actually the best of both worlds. You can actually get the frequency profiling that you're looking for, and then cone them or taper them so that they'll fit in. You're good to go. So that, to me, that's the best of both worlds. There's Al from the Space Coast. All righty. Gotcha. All righty. Robin's talking to everybody. Please hit that like button or that thumbs up. That would be grand to get this out there to most of the stuff. I don't know if Matt's bringing his club. Normally he does, because we normally regrip or do something to him. So yeah, we'll see some of that. Oh, there it is. Has some work to do. Hi, John. I also play left and putt right. There you go. There you go. That's pretty cool. All righty, Jim. Although I know it's good for business, do you think us golfers get over concerned or over analyze data when it comes to swing weights, shaft length, flex, and golf swings are like snowflakes? Well, Cam, some yes, some no. All right. Personally, and this is me talking, and oh, but yeah, anyway, this is me talking. I believe that the shaft length is very, very important, and it needs to be very close, within a quarter of an inch of where you need to be. And then with that comes the lie angle, and that's turf interaction from the proper length. Those two, I think, are very important. Now, shaft flex is secondary to, I believe, shaft weight. All right. This may be controversial, but I like shaft weight over shaft flex. Now, in that shaft profile, if I had to pick shaft weight, shaft profile, shaft flex, sometimes you don't get a choice, but that's what I would choose if I was doing that. As far as swing weights going concerned, if you guys have been listening even just a little bit, you know that I really don't concern myself with swing weights unless they're extraordinarily out of spec from each other. I like them to be consistent, but does it have to be D2? Probably not. Does it have to be C7? Again, probably not. Because you're basically, when you put these clubs together, they come out at a specific swing weight because of, for instance, that gentleman I made the Mizunos for. I put a 105 shaft in it because we made it an inch longer so that the balance would be there. And then he put in these ultralight grips. Like, oh, here we go. This is not going to be good. But actually hit him better because he liked the head weight feel. So there you go. There was a head weight feel. So these things would come out higher than what would be expected, but not so much that they were gross. Not like D9 or anything like that. But they were higher, but the total weight is what allowed him to swing them better. So yeah, some of those are important more than others, I would say. Let's do that. Sometimes he does. I smashed the like button. Did you? Very good. Thank you, buddy. Swing it. The new 19 has a different higher sound that I didn't like. Oh, I didn't know that. I've got a couple of the 919 sitting in there. I just haven't shafted them up. That would be fun to try out. There we go. Cam and Mr. McGolf are talking now. Snowflake. Yeah. That is what Apollo says. Ah. You may have caught it earlier, but the embargo was lifted on the Callaway Apex and UT tomorrow. Any chance Callaway will be on the McGolf to discuss this anytime soon? Well, dude, I am glad that you're telling me about it because my rep hasn't told me the first thing. So yeah, I'll reach in there and see if I can get somebody to come on here. That would be super sweet. Maybe not next week because we have Matt, but the following week. The Phantom has a firmer tip section, firmer than the other steels, comparable weight, at a control of person, nice mid-launch angle. And that's the firmer tip. Well done. Brody Rethamel. Any tips on retrofitting a putter to make it longer like the Jailbird putter that Ricky uses? Well, it depends on where you're starting at, Brody, because his was like a 38, 39 inch. If you're starting at the normal at 35, you're adding 4 inches. You're on the ragged edge of getting out of control. Your best bet, if you really wanted to get to that Jailbird putter length, is just reshaft it. Putter grips or putter shafts are quite inexpensive, and in reality, if you're going to make it that long, you might want to go to a better shaft anyway, because once you extend it, it's going to start doing like this, and yeah, it's going to be impressive. So if you wanted to do it the right way, a very, very low torque putter shaft, BGT comes to mind. Acra makes one that is very low in their 400 series. I just saw another one. Who has it? Another graphite shaft maker is making a very low torque putter shaft as well. But the key here is low torque putter shaft, and then reshaft it, and you won't be. I'm telling you, if you really like what Ricky's doing by going to this shaft, your putting experience and your putting dispersion will be awesome. John Lamb, a bit of Washon history. He played drums for Steve Miller. Yes, he did. He got started in golf as they used to play back nine on the horse, taking a break. I think he liked golf more than he did rock and roll. Yeah, because he was kind of the backup drummer. And he as he told me that same story, and he says, yeah, I was looking out and they said they looked like they were having way more fun than I was. So he started getting that. But if you read Captain Clubmaker, he goes into it in a little more detail. Charlie, they will need to get here early. Yep. And happy hour. Damn right. I was talking about with Sean. Very good. Team burner forged iron and 9 forged iron found on the Tour Spec Golf. They are a Japanese issue. Well, look at me go. There we go, buddy. So, Dimpled Sphere, if you're still watching, a Japanese issue. Cam is the master of looking up on the internet. Double X, you said Washon Driver worked well in the past for slow swing speeds. Are there any similar trends you are seeing in the drop of drivers for slow, medium, fast swing speeds? So, Wilson, yes, Wilson drivers, yes, they were. So the faster swing speeds, and I mean very fast, like the 110 and above. Actually, I'm seeing that the Paradigm Triple Diamond's working extraordinarily well. Also, the Wilson TI is working very, very well, or the Carbon, depending on your level of play. As far as slower swing speeds anymore, the D9 was it for me. These other ones, I haven't had a slower swinger in here to test them, so I can't tell you on that one. But under the bell curve type stuff, of course, Callaway, Wilson, Mizuno are the ones that I know of. I've heard of TaylorMade doing very well. Ping always does very, very well. As far as slower swing speeds, something that is the most simple will probably work. For instance, a Strixon driver without that massively stiff shaft in it. They just beefed up the shaft too much for it to work well. But the head itself looks to be very, very nice. Put something in there like that, you'd be okay. All right. Yep. Thank you, Luke, again. We agree. Tour Spec Golf. Yeah, there you go. Now you know. John Austin. Robin set me up for a fitting on the 11th. Really excited. Well, good. We're glad to have you, man. Look at that. Here's your daughter watching too. It's pretty good when we know what's going on in the families. What is the name of the putter grip company you had on a few weeks ago? I think they had a Ford Press. Maybe the same brand of putter used now. Oh, that was the Lab Golf. And yes, they did. They had a Ford Press in it, already made into it. And they used to use a company. They used to use a company that was called Ford Press, but I don't know what it is anymore. But you can buy those. You can buy those putter grips from Lab directly if you're interested. Quad Rider putter looks amazing. Thank you guys. Oh, hey, welcome to you. Always surpass expectations. Aftermarket face from Spyro, one of the best. Ah, okay. Now I know who we're talking to. This is our putter guy with the face that I put in there. Good. Hopefully it works well for you. Garson, maybe. My home course is just shy 6,700. Will be played from. Oh, you got that. I've seen you hit 6,600 yards. That's a nothing burger for you, man. Look at that. Odyssey, all kinds of stuff. Well, there you go. Well, now that we know we've done it, we'll be all right. She said, Jim sounds sleepy. Oh, my nose is plugged up. And that's the reason why. And it could be because I just finished off some of this too. Kamikaze Run, was it Lab putter grips? Yes, it was. Henry DeHard? DeHard? Okay. Any knowledge of Pure Grips going under? The answer is yes, they are. I got it going out of business. EFAM. Yes, they are. So if you're looking for them and you like it, now's the time, man. Now, the fact that they're made out of that EDPM rubber, you can hold on to them in a bag or put them, just as long as they're not in the sunlight, they'll stay like that for a long, long time. Yeah. It does start at 4:30, and Mrs. McGolf makes me an egg, which is awesome. All righty.
Did you hear me now?
No, I did not hear you. Oh, I'm getting the sign. Here we go. Lawrence Brown. Oh, I'm sorry, Lawrence Bronson. Golfing a little over a year. This conversation really helps. I ordered soon. Apex Pros 21s. Very good. Maybe we don't say it enough. We want to say thank you, Jim and Robin, for spending all these hours and sharing your knowledge. My favorite hour. Well, I appreciate that, Cam. I really do. Thank you very much. All right, we got down to the last one here. Here we go. Got a loose ferrule. Can I put a drop of super glue on it? The answer is yes. But before you do, look at the club and make sure that the grip is still aligned with the head. All right, make sure it's still aligned with the head, because it may not have been the ferrule slipping, it may have been the head slipping. So before we do any of these gluing, I always try, number one, grab it and try and turn it, give it a good and see if it moves. That's number one. Number two, test it and look down there and make sure it's in line. If it's in line, then fine. And then a little dab of super glue will do you. Put it there on the top of the hosel, push that bad boy down on there, and you're good to go. All righty. Look at that. Muddy says most are sold out. Well, as soon as they did it, I mean, that was hard not to ignore, right? When they're giving 50% off of these bad boys. Hate to see them go, but, Star has basically got the same thing except for the DTX, so I'd be looking at them. All righty. So look at that. Made it down to the bottom and we made it an hour and a half. Woo-wee. Good for us. Good for you. Guys, thank you. I know we went all over the world again this episode. Don't forget to like and subscribe and to check out tomorrow's video. It will be coming on 7 o'clock my time. Please take a look, like and subscribe to that one. Tell your friends, tell everybody. That way that we get a little bit more views and the word gets out. And I appreciate this. The fact that you guys ask me questions, I really have a good time with it. And I appreciate that you do it. And as always, let's see your scores go low.